Good evening. Welcome to the Duke's News. I'm the host with the most, the Duke of Cambodia himself. A man so cool he regularly travels back in time to slap Stalin in the face for Stalin. That's right, it's me, Cody Dukert. Don't get up, please. I know you want to. Tonight, I am here to talk about collections management. I know. I promised an interview with Dr. Quest, Mr. Kanye himself, but that didn't go over so well. We already have enough egos on the show. I don't think we need any more. So instead, I've gathered the best experts of collections management from across time and space to come to talk to you about exactly these heroes called collections managers do. Now let's make like my ex-girlfriend and move on to our first guest. Yes, hello again. I'm Cody, the Duke of Argentina himself, back with our first guest, who needs no introduction. This man has spent his entire life sucking your blood, turning your women into vampires. That's right, I'm here with Count Dracula to cover the topic of light damage.
Thanks again, Cody, for having me. It's a real pleasure. I know it's hard to stay up so late at night to discuss things. People don't realize the dangers light can have in one's life.
Right, let's jump right into it then. Other than the most obvious light problems, such as fading and exposure, what problems do light pose to some of these objects in these museums' collections?
Great question. But first, I'd like to say that all items in the museum are vulnerable to light damage. This truly makes it the silent killer, like me. The biggest threat to these objects is ultraviolet or UV light. Trust me, it melts the skin off of these objects. This isn't just caused by sunlight, it is also caused by older light fixtures.
Oh really? That's not something I had thought about before. How are ways that you can deal with light damage in your space?
The best thing to do is to use modern, safe lighting that doesn't emit UV rays. Storing objects inside of boxes can help reduce the damage risk. Ideally, you want no windows, too. But you can also buy window covers to help keep the light contained. But always be sure to turn the lights out when you leave the room.
Okay, that's some solid advice. But what about the objects on display? They seem to be at much higher risk, especially with modern architects' love for natural lighting.
Yes, I do miss my architect. He truly has a way of making an evil castle. Shame I had to kill him. As for your question, it is important to be constantly looking for signs of light damage with your objects. Most likely you want to do a sweep at least once a week. Giving cases that help to contain the amount of light that is filtered into your objects is also important if you have the budget. Finally, you want to swipe out your items to make sure that they have time, like me, to sit in the cave upside down.
Okay. Sorry about the architect, I think. One final question before I let you go, because the sun's coming up soon. Are there any objects that are particularly vulnerable to light damage?
Well, aside from my skin, of course. Textiles are very vulnerable to light, so you want to be extra careful with them. Oh, and paintings. They should never be in direct sunlight either.
Alrighty, any last words before I let you go, Count?
Just remember, light damage is permanent and irreversible. It's also important to... Wait, who are you? Why do you have that light?
Well, we seem to have lost contact with Dracula, but I'm sure it's fine. Moving on, I would like to now move to our second guest speaker after a short break. Welcome back, folks. It's me, the Duke of Uganda himself. Next up, we have a professional paper pusher, a man who can fill out a form so fast, you will just freak out. No one better by his World of Warcraft name. What? Oh, I can't say it on the air. I'll get fired. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'll give you Stuart the Mighty.
Hey there, guys. It's Stuart here. Just got done doing some paperwork. About to go leave work on a casual Friday. Support the Rodgers and the Packers. But let's jump right into it, boys. See what we can do to rock your socks off here.
Hey, that's great there, guy. First question. How much paperwork are we talking about? Like, are we talking about a lot? You're constantly doing it? Like, how much?
Jeez. That's a tough one right off the bat there, Cody guy. I would say you better get used to doing your paperwork. A lot of what the collection manager does is the paperwork. You gotta be careful. You gotta do your paperwork. You're gonna be drowned in the red tape, just like the Packers season without the Rodgers.
Ha ha! Good one, Stuart. So, can you give us some examples of this paperwork that we will end up having to do if we work in museums?
Sure thing there, guy. Let's take a look real quick. We got a session proposal forms. We got deposit forms. We got there, guys, some temporary receipts. We got donator questionnaires. Oh, we got all kinds of stuff there, guy. If I went through this whole folder, we'd be there till the Packers are playing next season with the Rodgers. So maybe I'll be able to do that.
Oh boy, Stuart. That's a lot of information in one sitting to take in. I don't think I could take it all in and just, like, keep it in my brain. Is there any way that we could have all this information in one place for a reference?
You, sir, are a really smart guy right there. There's a real easy way. All you gotta do there is put together a handy-dandy reference manual like this one right here, eh? That's about all you need to know is everything in here. Other than that, I have to get back to work on the new mummy. Wait, say there, where did the mummy go? Jeez, the mummy's out again.
Well, it seems we've lost contact with Stuart. Sounded like a friend stopped by. Man, that guy is a player. Let me tell you. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Let's move it on. We're only at the halfway point in the show, folks. We got some more exclusive kinds of interviews coming on, but I just want to take another quick commercial break. But since no one wants to sponsor the show, we're just going to have a couple awkward transitions more. Welcome back after that short break. It's me, the Duke of Uzbekistan here. Our third guest is a real killer in ethics. I thought I would bring him/her in to talk about ethics in museums. Introducing the individual known to us as Jack. I didn't stab anyone. Ripper. I'm also told he's the hide-and-seek champ of Greater London area. How are you doing, Jack?
Yes, I'm doing jolly well good myself. Current ruling champion is indeed true, but I'd also like to point out that I am innocent until proven guilty. You get what I'm saying?
I don't think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure it's still murder one. But, moving on, of course, I doubt people really even knew ethics in museums was a thing, and so how important do you really think it is to raise this awareness of these ethics, of course?
Without ethics, we are just really slaves to the laws set by the government. I hate governments. I feel that ethics are very important in the development of our own personal moral codes. I feel as a surgeon, yeah, I'm a doctor, I feel particularly strong and passionate about ethics. So naturally, when I heard they were in museums, I had to become an expert on them.
That's great, Jack. I think. So let's just do a general rundown then on the important points about ethics, if you please.
Sure thing, old chap. First, you can't murder your co-workers. They've proven on that. Can't turn me away from working in museums. found that one out the hard way there, let me tell you. Secondly, you and your mates, they can't be drinking on Winston Churchill's Geisha's Girls trunk. Your boss will get mad at you. That's why I'm my own boss in my own job. Don't have to make up all those rules. Though mainly it's through keeping with the ethic codes that the American Association of Museums set up.
Jack, can you be a little bit more specific, please? You can't leave the viewers hanging with information like that. Please, continue.
I was getting it to it, wasn't I? The American Association of Museums has several different categories on ethics, ranging from general code specifics like deaccessioning. It would take far too long to go into details about everything, so I think we'll just stick to some of those examples. Yeah?
Yeah, because those last ones were so good, Jack. Please, just continue with your research examples.
The first one being the most important is that, the museums, they serve the public, so you have to make every decision with the public in mind for their best interests. Even something as choosing to yell at parents for being on their smartphones too much. That's something you can't do. You have to, be nice about it, and you can't just stabby them, which is what I'd prefer to do. Unofficially, of course. Anyhow, you can't just really get rid of any item you want, or just add any item to your collection. You have to make sure they're with your mission statements. You also have to, when you're getting gifted, you can only get gifts about that stuff. You can't just use random funds to buy items. Most importantly, you cannot sell your items to keep the lights on. That's the big one.
Wow, those are some great examples there, Jack. And the something you're looking for is called first-degree murder, and it's very bad. So, anyway, back to the collections. If I wanted to read about these codes, is there somewhere I could go specifically to find out about them?
That is easy. Just go to the AAM website. It's all there in detail. And by AAM, of course, I mean American Association of Museums. That's what we call them in the biz, AAM. Oh, shoot! It's the coppers!
Police! Freeze! Get him! That's Jack the Ripper!
You'll never get me alive, you copper!
Well, it seems the law might just have finally caught up with Jack. About time, if you ask me. So why don't we take a quick short break while I make sure our guest isn't doing illegal drugs on screen again. But I saved the best for last, so we're going to have to dive into the hazards of museums with our own hazardous expert. Hey, what up? It's me, the Duke of Kosovo here, bringing them back with the best place for collections management across the space-times. My final guest for this evening is none other than Richard Hazmat. I don't think he has a last name, but he's here to talk about the dangers that are just sitting there in your collection waiting to kill you. Welcome, Richard.
Hey, thanks, man. Pleasure to be here. Why am I here again? Oh, yeah, dangers in the museum. Collections department, of course. Man, there are a lot of them. I almost died once.
Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Why don't you tell us more about these dangers? Maybe even work that story in. You know me, I love a good story.
Lead, mercury, and arsenic is a great place to start, because, man, those things will kill you. Once, I tried it on a dress, like you do for fun. It could go horribly burnt all over the place. But it's even worse if you ingest them. Just ingesting them will probably kill you. It'll be slow and painful. Man, you don't want that.
Oh, wow, that sounds really intense. Well, not really. That's really weird, man. Why would you do that? Scratch that. I don't want to know. What are some other ways that this stuff is dangerous?
Plastics. Man, people thought it was cool to make everything out of plastics because it was cheaper, but man, we are running into a problem now. It's wrecking the environment, man. It's deteriorating your collection and it's killing you with poisonous fumes. I mean, you do deserve it. Sucks to feel like them animals do. You know?
Alright, Richard, let me stop you there, though, because this really isn't a debate about the environment. This is collections management. Remember, man? Can you please go into more detail about that stuff, please?
Oh, right. Well, these plastics, they emit a lot of odors. And when they start, smelling funky, you better be hightailing it out of there faster than an alligator during hunting season. You know what I mean? Then, it's so hard to tell these things sometimes because each plastic, breaks down differently. And the best defense is just checking each object, which we can't do.
Alright, Richard, so if you do find one of these objects that are deteriorating, is there anything you can do to help it?
It really is a tragedy. They're pretty much just dying. You can attempt to save it, but it'll only work for a little bit. It's terrible. Just watching all these things die, just like America today is dying. I really wish I could save them.
Oh, Richard, it's gonna be okay, boy. Anything else you want to say before you go?
Be careful, man. That's really it. If you don't know what you're handling, just wear gloves, get an expert in there, don't try on the dresses, wash your hands, get a good ventilation system, so if you want to toke up the
Well,
food.
thanks, Richard, for getting this video removed from YouTube with that comment. And with that, we're finished with our guests. Now time for some closing statements. But after a word from our non-existent sponsors, cue the bad music and dank memes.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you blink.
Welcome back. Did you enjoy some dank memes? It's the Duke of El Salvador back here with some closing points. I'd just like to confirm everything that I've heard now from our guests and their conditions. Dracula was tragically killed today in a UV light attack on his castle. RIP. Jack the Ripper escaped authorities again. He's still at large. Richard is currently in, I think, Unicorn Land. I don't know what that's about. God, I really need to find some better guests. Well, anyway, that's good for today's show. Be sure to smack that like button and subscribe if you liked the video. I really actually had fun doing this, so I think I'm going to do more of them. But not just on collections management. Although maybe, that could be fun.